Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's me, International Carl, doing another video. This one is going to be a continuation about life in the UK. For those that don't know, I've lived in Europe for the last 10 years or 11 years now that I think about it. I came to Italy in 2009, spent some time in France, spent some time in Germany, and spent most of my time here in the UK. So I have a pretty broad perspective of what life is like in Europe in general, but also what life like is in the UK. And I have to admit, unfortunately, that there are things that are done in the UK that are way better than the United States. So I have to admit. But before I really get started, please take the time to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and leave a comment below and tell me some of the thoughts or ideas that you think I could make for another video. And also, while you're down there, tell me what you think about some of these things that are better in the UK than the US. Do you agree or do you disagree? So without any order, let's get into it. One thing that I think is better in the UK are the wall outlets, the plugs, the sockets. Matter of fact, hold on one second. Let me get, I'm back. So I think the three-pronged outlet is better here than it is in the US. I know it's a little small thing, but what I mean is these you can just self-wire up. I remember when I was doing the Rolls-Royce Derby House conversion, when I needed an extra outlet for a wire and it couldn't reach, all I did was literally cut this off and I could just rewire this outlet. You see them in the shops all the time. They're loose. And so anybody can wire it up. It's really simple to wire this outlet up. But also, the way I think it's better is just the design. I think it works better. It keeps things in the wall. They don't come out as easy. So if someone was to trip on it or pull on it, it wouldn't just pop out the outlet that easy. One thing that is better in the United Kingdom than the United States is, drum roll, the National Health Service. That's the obvious one. And I'll tell you why. It's not that the US system is terrible. It is great for those who have money and can afford it. But the difference here in the United Kingdom is healthcare is seen as a right and not a privilege. And I think the two are very different when you look at the United States versus the United Kingdom. Where here, you can be seen by a doctor and it costs you nothing. Imagine not going in an ambulance in the United States because there's people who won't go in an ambulance. Think about this, won't go in an ambulance because they don't have the best healthcare insurance and they have to think about the cost of that ambulance ride, how much that's gonna cost. I remember as a kid, I think my little cousin had to go in an ambulance. And I might have been about 13, 14 at the time. But there was a bill for like $800 that came for this ambulance ride. And I thought that was crazy. I didn't realize that you even had to pay to go in the ambulance. But we're talking about the UK, not the US. So for me personally, I've used the National Health Service several times, but the most recent time was only a couple weeks ago when I've been struggling with my breathing. I literally just walked into a walk-in center, saw a nurse. They did some tests on me. Within 15 minutes, I was subscribed an inhaler and I was out the door. Free of charge, didn't cost me nothing. A couple years back, I had to get emergency surgery. Yes, I went in around 8 o'clock at night. They said they were going to operate on me that night. However, they said come back in the morning because I wasn't, in terms of the pecking order, I wasn't that high up. But I came in the next morning and the next morning I was operated on and it was done. And this is the same, this is only 12 hours after the initial diagnosis of the problem that I had. And within about 12 to 20 hours from that, I was operated on and everything was clear. And it didn't cost me anything. The hospital stay didn't cost me anything. The follow-up treatments didn't cost me anything. It was free of charge. A third thing that is better in the United Kingdom than in the United States, and I touched on this on a previous video, is that transportation. So in the United Kingdom, you don't necessarily have to have a car to get around. Whether you want to go to work, whether you want to go see a friend, whether you want to go on a long journey, you don't necessarily need a car to do those things because you can take a train, you can take a bus, You can walk in town if you want to go get your groceries. I mean, when I first moved to the United Kingdom, I knew somebody who actually lived in London, but took the train up every morning to go to work in Derby, some hour and a half drive. Now, this person lived right next to the train station in London, so he had like a 5-10 minute walk to the train station, so it was really close and easy. But then the company actually sent a bus. There was a working bus that just went in a circular route that would pick people up from the train station to drop them off at work, free of charge. So you can literally get to work without a car if you want to. So yes, that's why some people don't have driver's license. Some people don't have cars. But if you want to get around, if I wanted to go to Scotland tomorrow, I would literally consider driving or taking the train, because the train is actually really easy. I've taken the train plenty of places in the United Kingdom. Also, the bus, you can take a bus. There's quick buses. So up here, there's Derby to Nottingham. There's a company called Red Arrow, I believe. And you can just take the bus. It just runs like clockwork, and it just goes to and from. It's a straight bus. I think it has 1, maybe 2 stops. That's it. You go to the main depot in Derby. It drops you off at the main depot in Nottingham. Maybe 1-2 stops. And this is a 45-minute, 30-minute drive on the bus. So it makes it easy to get around. I've taken it a few times when I was younger, just to go party in Nottingham. So that way I could drink and not have to drink and drive. So there's one. If I wanted to go from here to London, yes, a lot of times I do drive. I hate driving down there, but it's actually faster to take a train from the Midlands to London, especially the fast train that might have 1-2 stops. I can be down in central London in about an hour and a half, where if I drive to London and I want to get all the way to the subsequent stop that the train would take, it might take me 3 hours, just because it only takes about an hour and a half to drive to the outside of London, the M25, but then it could take you a full hour, hour and a half just to cross London or to get through London, because the speeds are so slow. That's not even talking about trying to find a place to park, how much it costs to park, the congestion charge you might have to pay inside of London, etc., etc., etc. So I find transportation in the United Kingdom that much easier. Where in the United States, I would never consider getting on the bus. I don't know if it's me being bougie or something, but maybe I just always thought poor people took the bus, or never would take a train, because there's just not a lot of train services in the United States, especially where I'm from on the West Coast. Another thing that the United Kingdom does better than the United States is food cost. So I'll give you some examples. Whenever I go to the United States and say I need to stay at an Airbnb for a week, well, I'll go buy all my food. What I will spend in 1 week of shopping in the United States for food at the grocery store, that's the cost that I would buy for groceries for an entire month, maybe even a month and a half. Yes, the items in the United States, like an orange, could be really, really big, so it costs a lot. But here in the United Kingdom, yeah, the fruit might be a little smaller, but the cost of buying the fruit is a lot cheaper. The staples that you will buy: milk, eggs, flour, butter, meats, for example, all cost less in the United Kingdom than they do the United States, I find. So for me, I think that the United Kingdom does a better job on the overall cost. So say you wanted to move from the United States to the United Kingdom, and you were thinking how much I need to budget per month for food. It is substantially less than what you are doing now in the United States. That's hands down. Say you live in the United States and you're coming to the United Kingdom to live. And maybe you're going to stay for 6 months, a year, or a couple years. Well, if you were thinking about what your budget needs to be for your food, whatever it is in the United States, I would cut it in half, because that's how much it's going to cost you here in the United Kingdom. Well, we'll see with Brexit and how that all plays out. Maybe the cost goes up. But I'm telling you right now, it is actually cheaper in the United Kingdom than it is in the United States for your overall food shopping. My favorite, by far my favorite thing in the United Kingdom versus the United States is very simple, is the work-life balance. Think about this. As an American, you're used to 2 weeks of vacation and a couple of sick days. And that's not by law, but think about it. It's 2 weeks. That's not 14 days. That's 10 days. And that's what you get after working, say, a year. You have to build that time up. So if you start in January 1st, well, nobody starts January 1st, but if you start January 2nd, 3rd, or 4th, whatever the first Monday is of the new year, in the United States, you have to build up all that PTO, all that 2 weeks off that you get. So that might take you to June before you even have 5 days off that you can take. Where in the United Kingdom, you're actually by law supposed to have, I think it's 20 days, maybe even 25 days. I know when I first moved out here, I had 26 days off. So I had 20 days off and I had 6 lieu days is what they called them, 6 additional days that the company just gave us. So I had 26 days off. Then I still had the national holidays that I could take off, which were like 9 days. And then the other thing was like, say, Easter. The company that I was working for when I first moved here was Easter Friday you got off, but then you also got Monday and Tuesday off. So if I want to take the following week off and be off nearly a week, I only had to take 3 days off, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and I was off for a week. And remember, I start with 26 days. So if I waited till Easter, I would still have, 23 more days left to take off for the rest of the year. And I've only taken 3 days off and I was off for a week. Now, the other part is if you're sick. In the United Kingdom, if you're sick, you're sick. There is no like sick days, where in the United States, I remember working at a big aerospace company before I moved here, I think I got 6 sick days. And if I used them, that was it. So I was like, if you got sick and you had 7 days off, well, you would have to use your vacation day, your PTO time. Well, there was no such thing here. If I was sick in the United Kingdom, I was just sick. And another bonus is this. Imagine this one. How crazy is this? I'd have to check into this, but I think it's pretty accurate that if I went on vacation here in the United Kingdom for a week, and say I got sick for 2 of those days, so Thursday, Friday, I'm actually sick. When I got back, I could actually claim those 2 days back off my vacation because I can claim them as sick days. So I got food poisoning for 2 days and I was sick. Well, instead of those 2 days being for vacation, I would come back, reclaim those as vacation days, not vacation days. I'd reclaim them as sick days and still get my 2 days back, and I could use them later in the year. Amazing. But the other thing is that those 20 days off I get on January 1st or the first Monday. I don't have to build them up. Yes, if I was to leave the job early, I'd have to pay those back. But it's assumed that you're going to work the year. So you have those days on February 3rd. If I want to take January 15th off or February 13th off, I could. If I need to take a week off, I could. I would already have the week there. So these are the top 5 things that I think the United Kingdom does better than the United States. You tell me what you think about it. You tell me if I'm right, wrong, or if that's crazy. Just give me an idea. Let me know in the comments. Thank you.